Hello everyone and welcome back to another Final Boss Hawk video. This is going to be my most consistent auto team. So I've been using auto on it for quite a while. Trying to find the best team. Tried it with Death Piercing back, with Diane. The team with Diane was very good. Only issue is that Diane, if she didn't pull any cards on the second phase, would be completely useless. And it would take very long. The reason I've chose to go for this team is I do have King Relic, so that will help me a lot. Barn in the back to increase my attack-related stats. You've then got Escanor, of course, big DPS, especially on the second phase, really big DPS. And Liz is just there for a stat buffer, as well as a slight DPS. She can do damage if she does pull level 2s, of course, if she pulls level 1s. It's not the best, as well as her AoEs are not that strong as well. I'll not be running any food, I'm running full attack, card set, even though that doesn't really benefit Liz that much, but it's still decent. It's still definitely not the worst. Liz is, of course, mainly HP based, but of course she's attack based as well. King's Relic does help, especially with the fact that 15% basic stats, as well as the damage increase from the relic, from its passive itself. The Liz AoE probably won't do that much because it is turn 1, even though it is level 2. Decent damage. King should do quite a bit because it is King. You go nearly 400k with a level 1 card turn 1. If you are really lucky, you can immediately just get like 2 King cards, both off. They're already all half HP. It's really good. This is the most consistent team I found. Of course, this is like a team that you'd use where you literally just left the game on. You know, you're doing something else. I don't know, you're working, or you're reading a book, or you're on your computer doing. You're watching YouTube or something. You're watching a show. Just leave it on. You know, you can have the volume on mute, and it's just farm it for you. Of course, you will have to come back and reset it every single time because there's no auto run, unfortunately, but it's still a very decent team. You can see King doing 506k here. Of course, there are the chances where you're not going to pull any AoE cards, exactly like what happened now, because Escanor's AoE card, Sia's AoE card to start, it's not going to be played because the game will try to maximize damage by using as many level 2 cards as possible. So I'll start by playing the Escanor Finger card, then with the Liz, probably level 1 Liz card. Yeah, and I'll play the level 2 Liz card, yeah, as expected. Escanor's death damage though is still actually very useful, even though it is only a single target card and it won't actually be doing too much, 40k. But 40k is quite a decent amount of damage. It's more than what Liz done. She decided to target someone else. Nice one, AI. Of course, the only issue about a team like this is the fact that the ultimate is pretty strong here. Luckily enough, Escanor is very tanky, and their stats are lowered. As you can see, that's a lot of damage. That's the reason Diane is really good, because they can't remove stances. 400k from Liz isn't too bad. She has hit for like 1 million, I think, earlier. Of course, skip the animation, don't need to sit there and watch that. So the game will use an AoE card, because it'll merge, they'll play the level 1, and then another AoE card. Of course, unfortunately, AoE cards don't do too much damage. Well, they actually do less damage, a lot less damage than what they normally would. Liz doing decent damage there, not a single crit, because this boss has a lot of crit resistance, like a lot. Even with Death Pierce, people are still struggling to crit. It's going to use 2 King cards. Unfortunately, no one in this team has a single target ultimate. They all, of course, have AoE ultimates. Means that their ultimates won't do too much. King's ultimate's good because of the cleanse. Escanor's ultimate, it does actually still do decent damage. Liz's ultimate is completely useless. It's decided to go for all King cards. So this is the slight problem, is that okay, so you can't use demons, right? So that immediately takes Traitor Melee and P Melee off the team, which have 2 very good DPSs. He has a very good AoE and a very good single target card. So what you're stuck with are characters that have an AoE and a single target card, or if not 2 AoE cards, which is not very good in fights like these. I literally don't know any festivals that have 2 single target cards that are part of the sins, of course. So you have OG Lost Vein, no. You can't use him because he's a demon. You've got Liz, Goddess Liz, no. She's got a shield card, not worth it. You've got you do have the old Escanor, but of course, as he only has 2 single target cards and his stats aren't the best for nowadays, especially when these guys are struggling to crit, and these guys are like Escanor. Escanor's here with a base 130% crit chance, is still struggling to crit sometimes. Liz struggles to crit anyway because it's Liz. So that she crits, of course, without her stat buff as well. But this team is probably the most consistent one I've found. It does take a very long time. But sometimes you are super lucky. Of course, it's very RNG based. You can get something super lucky and it will just nuke it. It might actually nuke it now. Liz's AoE will do like nothing. Like, her ultimate is so bad. Even on PvP at 6-6, the only reason I would say she's still a problem in PvP is the fact that it's her stat boost and her heal. Apart from that, she has no use. Once again, of course, if your team isn't as tanky as mine, you can also replace King with Diane. Diane is very good at like tanking. She practically patiences most of the attacks. As well as that, you give her a Tumble Link and it'll end up disabling some of the attacks, which is also very good. Escanor still does decent damage. Escanor's a very good character. Of course, if we could have P, I would replace Liz with P Melee if we could, but of course we can't because of the increased damage done to demons, which is kind of sad, but it's okay. But of course, if you are struggling to do this with this team, you're also able to run either Hostess Liz and back for the heal, or actually, a Hostess Liz is probably one of the best options if you want to still keep the super quick DPS. If not, if you want to rely more on RNG, you can go for Queen Diane. Queen Diane is super good. The game will always prioritize her stances, so of course if you have a stance, she'll have it up, which is also very good. Her ultimate is AoE, means if on the first phase it will hit very hard, and of course she has the passive, that means she will hit a minimum damage dealt, which means even if she does ult on the second phase, and her passive is max, she'll hit for a minimum of 100k, which is still better than most of the other cards on your team, especially Liz's cards. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed the video, please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye.